everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm going to review for you Sleep Tight by J.H Markert. This was a pick for the book of the month in the thriller mystery category for the month of September. I picked a different book by mistake, and so in the month of October I added it to my box. Now in this review I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the book, but also why wasn't what I expected and how I feel like I was tricked into reading a book that in most cases you can tell from the synopsis where it's going. Now, this is a story of Father Silence, who terrorized this small rural community of Twisted Tree about 20 years prior from where we begin with this book. When they found his house, it was something that they called a house of horrors because they found 19 bodies and one kid that actually was able to escape his fate. Now, fast forward, we are going to start the book with the day that Father Silence, who by the way wasn't a priest, he was pretending to be one, is going to be executed in a horrible way. So the next day after the execution, they find the arresting officer and his wife dead. From there, we learn about their daughter, the arresting officer's daughter. She is struggling with her partner. They are separated, and she is going through a lot because of this execution and also the separation itself. And the next day, they find out as well that her daughter was taken. Now, I have to say that this story sounded really interesting. I think that the premise with the serial killer and a possible second serial killer copying what Father Silence did was intriguing. Father Silence wasn't speaking to anybody, and then before he was executed he said something that piqued my interest, and so I was interested in the mystery of the story. But I have to say that this turned into a full-on police procedural, and I did not care for it. Like I said, there were some good parts where the daughter of the arresting officer and detective as well, she is, riding in the car with her husband, who is a psychologist, and they're kind of putting things together, and it seemed like a puzzle that they were actually putting together right in front of you and making sense of some things. And I feel like that was the part that intrigued me about this book, and it kept me reading. But in the end, the police procedural part was really heavy. And another thing that I don't think it's a spoiler, and I think you should know and everyone should know, is that this book involves religion heavily. And I feel like for me, it's not a creepy factor. Like, I don't get spooked about that kind of thing. But religion and a lot of I don't want to say exactly what parts, but there's some recreation of something that's talked about in the Bible, and I just don't care for that kind of stuff. I don't think it's creepy. I don't think it's interesting. So between the police procedural and that religious factor, that was a big part of this book, really threw me off. And I thought that it could have gone completely into a completely different direction if this wasn't so heavily focusing on the police procedural part and the religion. I thought that they could have done without all the religious details. I didn't think it added anything to the plot. I didn't think it added anything creepy to it, and so I didn't find myself being engaged and actually was kind of bored. So I think that if you like police procedural books, then this might be something for you. For me, I'm between a 2 and a 3 star because I did find parts really interesting and me wanting to go back to this book because I wanted to find out about those things I didn't know, the actual mysteries of this story. But I didn't think it was what I like in a mystery or what I like in a thriller. It also talk about addiction and a coping mechanism that of course is related to addiction. And I thought that some of the things that were touched in this book didn't add to the story or to my enjoyment of the story. So for me, this is definitely something that I will be donating, because I know that a lot of people that enjoy police procedural and this kind of thriller that involves a little bit more religion will probably enjoy. But as for me, it was just something that was okay, but wasn't really entertaining and kept me turning the pages. And it has nothing to do with the writing style, but more of my personal preference in what I like to read in my thriller mysteries. So anyway, let me know if you read this book, if you liked it, if there's something that you'd like to share about this book with me. I read some reviews that people were complaining about plot holes. I didn't find anything, or maybe what was suggested made sense in my head and I understood the book differently from other people. I didn't find any plot holes, I have to say that. And if there were, maybe they weren't as interesting in my head that I needed to know. But I do know that this was one of those books that some people definitely loved and others not so much. So let me know what you think about it. If you got it from Book of the Month, if you read it, I'd love to know your opinion. Thank you so much for being here today, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.